When someone comes to you asking certain questions about balance, handstands, whatever, like, what is your goal for them? What are you trying to make them accomplish?
That's a really good question. So I know maybe I can teach someone in a day. But like I said, whatever you learn in a day, you can forget in a day. So my ultimate goal is to change somebody's perspective. If they can come out of that looking at the thing a little bit differently, or understanding kind of a deeper layer that they never saw within that, that's, as a teacher, I think that's one of the highest things that you can do, because then they can go off and train it themselves. And I know for me, in my experience as a student, the best experiences that I've had are not like, yeah, I did this crazy thing today, it was cool, and then I went to do the next day and I couldn't do it because it was just a flashy thing. The deepest experiences for me as a student is when it permanently changed my perspective, whether it's a handstand or whatever, something else. Like, I never looked at it that way, and now I can't look at it the same way again, because it's, like layers of vision. Like, we can only see a small amount of the light that goes on because our eyes aren't that sensitive. And then cats can see the UV spectrum, and birds can see the magnetic field and stuff like that. So that's what I think about, kind of opening up a new layer of vision. And then that opens a door, and then I don't want the students I want them to be independent. So my preference is a student takes a concept, works on it by themselves, develops it to their capacity, to their understanding, to when they understand it enough in their own practice, then they can come back and get more. So that for me is the biggest priority, is changing perspective. And to do something different, so let's say I'm in a CrossFit, so I get a lot of strength athletes, I'm going to teach them very differently than if I'm in a dance studio and I have dancers who are maybe not as strong in the upper body, maybe they don't do as much strength training. So maybe I would teach the CrossFitters to be more loose and relaxed in their movements, and maybe I would have to teach the dancers to be more stiff. And it's the same skill, it's just a different approach because I'm changing their perspective on it. Because probably whatever they do, people tend to want to keep doing what they're good at. They want to tend to do what they can already do because it's efficiency. So if I can give them a different approach, different perspective, then you have versatility. Then as I can do a handstand as a circus artist, I can do a handstand as a dancer, I can do a handstand as a strength athlete, and I can teach these different backgrounds of people in a different way. So I hope that makes sense. Perspective. As a teacher, yeah, perspective is everything. Because that's the question, and that's the difference also between kind of teacher or businessman, and there's nothing wrong with that, it's just a decision you have to make. You're going to make more money if people need you and they keep coming back. But you're going to be more satisfied with yourself by teaching people how to be more independent. But then if they're independent, they're no longer customers. So that's the question. And there's nothing wrong with either. My preference is independence because of how I've learned, because of how I prefer to help people. And ultimately, I don't want my students to keep coming back to me. I want them to learn enough that they can go out on their own. And if I don't make money, then I'll get new students. Such is life, a cycle.